In my first year of university, a friend of mine passed away seemingly out of nowhere due to a sudden illness. It was a lot for me to unpack at the time, and one thing led to another, and I ended up smoking one cigarette every night around 11 p.m. just by myself in the corner of the campus. One cigarette at 11 p.m. became a ritual of sorts. An extra shower is how I described it, since it was helping me process the emotions, I guess. At some point, this became 2 cigarettes, then 3, 4. The time shifted from PM to AM, and by myself quickly became us. A lot of us. Smoking eventually became a key component in how I socialized and bonded with others. It became an invaluable method of dealing with stress and unpacking complex emotions. Some of the deepest conversations I've ever had in life were scored by the undertones and melodies of burning tobacco and slow, drawn-out exhales. So naturally, and quite gradually, I became addicted to it, both psychologically and physiologically. If it's not apparent by now, the reason I'm sharing this story is because I believe that in many ways, YouTube has also gradually festered into an addiction that undoubtedly has potential to lead to negative outcomes. Perhaps not as drastic as smoking, but the potential's there. And of course, YouTube is a bit more complex in scope than cigarettes, so let's establish some parameters for this video. First, let's consider the 2 main ways one might experience YouTube: creation and consumption. Creation would involve the continuous process and experience of putting together a video, uploading it, and then awaiting their reception. We might consider delving into motives behind creation, including things like monetary gain, validation, fulfillment, or entertainment. Then there's the game of marketing, appealing to the algorithm and delivering quote-unquote value. Consumption would involve the cycle of searching for content, being recommended content, and interacting with said content. Here too, we might see the same motives mentioned above, like the hope of learning how to get farther financially, validation, fulfillment, or entertainment. Ultimately, creation and consumption seems to be a constant exchange of value, strongly defined in terms of time. If a viewer deems their time wasted, the content is not valuable, and the creator will receive less value as well in terms of watch time and whatever else comes with that. When I look at YouTube through this lens of continuous exchange, I begin to question what exactly is considered a good use of time. I would guess that a good use of time would have to be tied to a motivation. Whatever motivated you to create or consume on YouTube would be the metric through which you can determine whether your use of time was worth it. The easiest example of this might be searching for a how-to video on YouTube. The other day, I got a new external monitor, the BM53WR. I had no idea how to use this thing, so I immediately hopped on YouTube to find some operational guides. Waiting for me was a sea of reviews, which meant each video I clicked on had some sort of intro, followed by the physical features and major selling points. Finding anything that was specifically relevant to my need took far too long. Not a fault of the videos themselves, but the fact that no video was solely dedicated to operation meant a lot of skipping forwards and backwards. So because of my specific need, I felt like I wasted a lot of time. Where things might get murky, and this is arguably the main point of this entire video, is when you are motivated not by a search for objective information, but rather subjective information. For example, whether you're aware of it or not, you might hop on YouTube looking for validation. Validation of your recent job change, newest camera purchase, falling out with parents, dropping out of college, moving to a new city, etc., etc. You seek others who are going through or have experienced the same things as you in order to feel just a little less alone and find some semblance of comfort, confidence, and guidance. Once you find videos that meet this need, only then would you conclude that your time was well spent. I said this could be murky because one person's experience may very well invalidate your own. At least that's how you may feel, and that may lead you to feeling that your time was wasted because you did not receive the validation you sought. And not only did you fail to find it, you actually spent your time watching someone doing the exact opposite. I believe this is why we have so many people leaving crazy comments, professing their disbelief, for example, that someone would be getting a new Canon camera or Sony lens. Of course, when a viewer expects a measured review of a new camera and is instead met with a heavily biased video that may as well be an ad because the creator's in the honeymoon phase with their new camera, or wants to game the algorithm, or hopes to receive a brand sponsorship down the road, well then I would feel like my time was wasted too. Like I said, murky. What's interesting to me in this whole clusterfuck though, is the increasing patterns of idolatry in the consumer. For some reason, when we come across a video that satisfies the subjective information we were seeking, we're drawn to the creator behind the video no longer the video itself. Returning to validation for a moment, external validation seems to be fleeting. A lot of us are wired to continuously doubt ourselves, or maybe that's just the nature of life with its ups and downs. Regardless, one video may validate one of our decisions, but when we come across another fork in the road, we may be prompted to return to that video we saw, look to the person's channel, and seek another video that may help us in this new situation. And again, we may find ourselves disappointed because the creator has gone down an entirely different path than us, or God forbid, walked back on their previous decision. Cue the nasty comments. Another example of this is inspiration. We might find a video that inspires us in a time when we feel like our goal is unachievable. We find a creator who's going through a similar life stage and asking similar questions, but is just a little further ahead. Their journey fills us with a rush of energy to take on the days ahead, and our problems are now palatable. But one day, they blow up. All of a sudden, their struggles are completely foreign, and the way they're handling their newfound success conflicts with what you think you would do if you were in the same situation. All the while, you feel like you played an integral part to their success and feel entitled to their time and energy. This accumulation of distaste finally leads you to unsubscribing from this channel, and you swear never to watch another video by this person again. A week later, you find a new video that fills you up again with that rush of inspiration. So let's unpack this. Our apparent natural gravitation towards idolatry seems to place us in these weird cycles, chasing after constant sources of inspiration porn, validation, or imaginary action. In effect, we become addicted to a false perception of living life because at the end of the day, we live through others. Like many addictions, the process may be almost imperceptible. The initial stages may feel entirely positive and harmless. And it makes me wonder what withdrawal might potentially look like too. Too many of us seem to unconsciously rely on YouTube, its content, its creators to carry on in life. We become afraid of buying the wrong camera, investing time into the wrong editing program, living life wrong. But at the end of the day, I think there's an argument to be made that wrong decisions are a tad overrated. Most of these decisions can be rectified and won't have terrible consequences. We're dedicating too much of our lives to something that arguably has no real tangible effect on our own. We use this as a mental crutch, feel like strangers owe us something, base our levels of happiness on shallow content expertly edited to retain attention, or find our political information from non-credible sources that have an emotional or financial agenda. We glorify capitalism, create societal villains, place random voices on pedestals, generalize individual experiences to the rest of a community, and on and on. Of course, I'm not going to ignore the fact that these are extreme examples, but they are out there. And I wouldn't put us past the possibility of having contributed to their prevalence. And I strongly believe they're rooted in the fact that we might be addicted to YouTube, or at least things that we get from YouTube, which we really shouldn't be relying on YouTube for. We rely on YouTube for something that is not qualified to provide. Anyways, that's it for today. I didn't talk about the creator side of this as much as I would have liked, but I'm not entirely sure this video itself is all that coherent since I wrote it in one sitting. In sum, I think we should devote a lot of our time to living life and experiencing it in a very personal way. I'm not saying we need to stop watching YouTube. I just think we should be mindful and question at all times whether we are consuming and engaging with it in a healthy way. In other words, cheeky title, let's quit YouTube. As always, thank you for your time, be healthy, and have a wonderful day.